Make your own decisions for what's going to work for you. Your inner critic and maybe even your external doubters, they will tell you that you don't have what it takes. But just because you haven't ever taken action on this particular dream before doesn't mean that you can't or that you aren't capable. It just means you haven't tried it yet. It's okay. You can do this. You are enough, and it is your time. Welcome to Marketing and Mindset for Wellness Coaches, the podcast for health coaches and wellness entrepreneurs just like you who are building a business, making the world a healthier place, and designing a first-class life. I'm your host, Kim Foster, MD and certified business coach, and I'm on a mission to help you up-level your strategy and raise your mindset so you can truly thrive and grow your business. Let's get started. Okay, so here's a question that you may be wondering. When is the right time to start a health and wellness coaching business? I know that many people ask themselves this question, and a lot of people ask me this question. And for that reason, I thought I would record this episode dedicated to this issue because there's actually quite a bit to unpack here. And I really want to help you if this is something that you're wondering about or struggling with. Now, before we get into this topic, I want to mention that we are, as we speak, doing the final enrollments for the September class of my training and certification program inside the Wellness Coach Academy. And in fact, if you're listening to this in real time, then we will be kicking off orientation week in just a few days on September the 27th. So it's not too late to join us, but you will want to jump over to wellnesscoachacademy.com to learn more about this program and also to sign up for a sample class so that you can get a sneak peek at some of the program lessons and get a feel for whether this program is for you. Basically, if you're passionate about wellness and you're craving a flexible career that provides you with freedom and fulfillment while doing work that you love, then I would love to help you make that happen. And you need to check out the Wellness Coach Academy. Like I said, I give you everything you need to build a successful online business so that you can work from home and travel and experience real freedom and build financial independence. So if that sounds good to you, then head over to wellnesscoachacademy.com right now. Okay, that said, let's get started with today's topic, which is, when is it the right time to build a health or wellness coaching business? Now, I think one of the reasons that I felt keen to tackle this topic was because I've had several conversations with people lately who are really excited to start a coaching business, but they're hesitating and they're questioning the timing. So they're saying things like, it's not a great time right now. I'm really busy right now. Or I think I have to wait until the new year and things like that. So if that's you, if you're wondering whether the timing is right, then you're in the right place for sure. So to help you to figure out if now is the time, I'm just going to go through this by asking you a few questions. And the first one is, do you feel called to start a health coaching business? Is this something that you really want to do? Now, I know that seems like a super obvious question, but I have actually talked to people who thought maybe this was something that they should do because they saw other people doing it. There's no shame in that. We are all susceptible to getting swept up in the latest trends, but I want you to really ask yourself, do you really want this? Are you passionate about wellness? Are you passionate about helping other people? Do you love the idea of creating something of your own? I mean, your own business, being your own boss, not just punching a time clock and working for somebody else. So if you're saying yes to all of that yes, this is something that you really want, then the next question is, why not now? And this isn't me being cheeky. I really want to know. And I want you to ask yourself, if this is something you want to do, like really want to do with your life, then why wouldn't you start now? Now, there are a number of reasons that might be coming up for you, reasons why you wouldn't want to start now. So let's unpack those. Let's talk about some of the things that will come up for people who ask themselves this question, because one or more of them might be the reason why you're saying not right now. And so let's take a really good look at it and get to the truth of what's going on. So the first one I hear people say is that they're too busy. Now, I hear this a lot. We are all busy. It's pretty rare for me to hear otherwise, actually. In fact, I'm curious if you have ever talked to anyone who said, you know what, I've got tons of time right now. My schedule's totally clear. I wonder what I should do with all this time on my hands. And just as a side note, if you ever do hear somebody say this, please send them my way. I would love to know their secrets. So if we're all busy and we all kind of feel like that all the time, does that mean that nobody can ever start off on a new venture, a new direction, a new career because we're all too busy? No, of course not. That's crazy. People start new things all the time in spite of being busy. If it's important, you will make the time. I know that feels like a cliche, but it is true. And it goes back to the first question that I asked. Do you really want this? Is it really important to you? Because if you're not willing to carve out a little time each day and each week, then tough love here. Maybe this is just not that important to you. Or maybe it is, but you're afraid. And yes, that is a very different thing. But let's go back to the time issue, because maybe you're actually overestimating how much time it takes each week to start on this new path. For example, in my certification program, I recommend 4 to 6 hours per week. If you can carve out that amount of time each week, then you will be fine and you'll be able to keep up. And honestly, if you simply cannot carve out 4 to 6 hours per week, then you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe now is not the right time. But what I'm hoping is that you've got an actual plan for how to create that time in your week. Because hoping that it's just going to magically happen, the clouds will part and your schedule will be magically cleared, I really hate to be the bearer of bad news, but of course that is not going to happen. It will happen if you plan for it and you change some things, but it won't happen on its own. Waiting for the stars to align will only keep you stuck waiting forever. And really, no matter how busy you are, it's so much better to get started in the right direction than to do nothing at all and wait for the perfect time. I've had a lot of conversations with people who really want to make a change in their lives. They're desperately unhappy in their work life, or they're bored, or they feel trapped, or whatever. Which to me sounds like, yes, let's get this party started. Let's get you out of there. But then they say, but it's just a really bad time right now. I'm getting married, or we're moving house, or I've got a lot on my plate at the moment. And I do understand. I have definitely been there too. But then they wait, and sure, maybe that particular crisis passes, but then something else always comes up, and then something else after that. It's just never the right time. If you don't choose now and find a way of making it happen now, then you really do run the risk of someday turning into never. And this quote by Michael Landon sums it up perfectly. Whatever you want to do, do it now. There are only so many tomorrows. End quote. None of us is guaranteed anything. We may feel like we've got an endless string of time and we'll just do this thing we're dreaming of someday, but really think about that for a second and ask yourself if that's really true. The sad truth is that most people do not do the things that they always dreamed of. It's incredibly tragic, but the majority of people reach the end of their lives with a fair number of regrets. And if you don't want to be one of those people, then you're going to need to do things differently than most people. You're going to need to push yourself out of your comfort zone and take risks and be bold and be decisive, which actually brings me to the next issue, which is when people put off getting started because they're having a hard time making the decision, because this is really important. People often hesitate because they don't feel certain. They want to feel 100% reassured and safe before making a decision. So they hesitate and they twist with indecision and they say, oh, maybe I'll do that later when I'm sure. What I have noticed is that decisiveness is a really key skill to cultivate, especially when you're building a business and when you're trying to achieve something big. In fact, I've come to believe that it is a marker of success as an entrepreneur. The most successful entrepreneurs know that they do not have time to waste waffling on all of their decisions. They need to make those decisions and keep moving forward. And that's for big decisions and also small ones. Now, I don't mean be impulsive. I mean, gather the information, do a gut check, make a decision, and then act. The most successful people just don't worry about making a mistake by making the wrong decision. They know that that will actually happen sooner or later. And you can always fix a mistake or start over or pivot or whatever you need to do. But if you're just standing still, doing nothing, that is so much worse than making a wrong decision. Because waffling and staying stuck and not doing anything, that's the worst. That's when you're squandering your precious, precious time and you are in danger of running out of runway. Building a business, it's a process that takes time. You need a runway to get liftoff. You need to put in some work and build your community and build your brand and get to know your ideal clients in a really deep way so that you can create things that will serve them. And all of that takes time. And the longer that you wait to get started, the longer it will be before you reach the good part where things really start to gel and your business is turning a profit and you're making a difference in the world. So, being decisive, as I said, it's a marker of success. And if you know that this is something you struggle with, that you have a hard time making decisions, then you're going to need to learn how to make decisions and practice it and strengthen your decision-making muscle because it is a muscle like any other. Or if that's just not something you can or want to do, then I think you need to really take a good look at whether being an entrepreneur is for you. I know that this is a lot of tough love coming from me at the moment, but I don't want to see you go down a path that is not going to work for you. If decisions are excruciating for you, then you might be more comfortable as an employee. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's all about being really honest with yourself. Making and building a business means making a lot of decisions. And to be totally honest, if you can't make this decision, if you're going around and around in your mind, you really are going to struggle to build your business. Okay, but let's go back to some of the other things that might come up for you when you ask yourself, why not now? Many people say something along the lines of, I'm just not ready, which is a tough one to unpack because it's vague and there are a lot of things that could be going on under the surface. But in my experience, a common thing that's happening here is the feeling of inadequacy or a lack of confidence or a bit of imposter syndrome. And when I'm working with people closely, like with my private clients, what often comes up here once we peel back the layers is that they are waiting for someone to give them permission. But here's the truth. Nobody is coming to choose you. Nobody is going to give you permission to do this, to build a business. So you need to stop waiting for external validation. This is a very human tendency, of course, and we all had that excruciating experience of being picked last in PE class when they were dividing up the teams. Oh my God, why did everyone have this experience? Where are all the people who got picked first for the team? I'd like to know. I never seem to talk to people in this category. Actually, I'm pretty sure my husband was one of the ones who typically got picked first, although actually maybe not when he was younger because he had his growth spurt really late in life and he was always the small kid. Anyway, I'm rambling now, so let's get back on track. Okay, so we're all waiting to be picked, even if we maybe don't realize this consciously. But the fact is, nobody is coming to knock on your door and say, okay, darling, you are ready now. It is time. The truth is, you will probably never feel ready enough. And nobody is going to choose you. So as Denise Duffield Thomas says, you have to choose yourself. And I have to say, not only is nobody coming to knock on your door to say it's time now, most likely other people in your life will tell you it's not a good time. And we're talking people who typically care about you, who really do want the best for you, but they've got their own reasons for saying it's not a good idea. They'll tell you to wait until things settle down or until some other thing happens. So I'm not saying don't listen to other people in your life, but I want you to take all that advice with a grain of salt. And at the end of the day, make your own decisions for what's going to work for you. Your inner critic and maybe even your external doubters, they will tell you that you don't have what it takes. You've never done anything like this before, and there are any number of ways that this could fail. But just because you haven't ever taken action on this particular dream before doesn't mean that you can't or that you aren't capable. It just means you haven't tried it yet. It's okay. You can do this. You are enough, and it is your time. Okay, another thing that comes up when people ask themselves, why not now, is they say that they need to be sure. They want to feel 100% certain that they're making the right decision and that they know how the story is going to end before they get started. So I'm going to quote Marie Forleo here, who says, "Clarity comes through engagement, not thought," because you are not going to gain any more clarity or confidence by waiting on the sidelines. In a sense, this is kind of a form of perfectionism. Wanting to make the perfect decision and not being willing to make a move until you know you've got all your ducks in a row and you know exactly where you're headed. It's so important to let go of the need to control everything and to know the exact outcome, because all you're doing is just waiting. And the truth is, making any decision in any direction at least gets things moving. You can think of it like, when you're in your car and you set your GPS to go somewhere specific. And when you're standing still, your GPS doesn't really know which way to direct you. But as you first start moving, initially you might not be going in the right direction, and it hasn't yet recognized which way you're going or which way the car is pointing because it hasn't updated your location. However, as soon as the car starts moving, your GPS will get oriented and it will start telling you to go in the direction that you need to go, even if that means you have to turn right around. And so the same thing happens when you take action in life. Getting started is the hardest part for people, but once you make a move, any move, it becomes easier to see if you're going the right way and what steps you need to take to correct your path. You may not know exactly how things are going to play out if you start moving in the direction of building a coaching business. If you start getting educated and trained and start functioning in this industry, but you will become more clear once you get started. I also think of when I went to medical school. Now, did everyone in my class in first year, did we all know which specialty we wanted to go in starting from day one? No, of course not. Some of us ultimately became orthopedic surgeons, and some became radiologists, and some became family doctors like me. And all of these are very different fields, but we all got started, and that was good enough at the very beginning. If nobody ever applied to medical school before they knew exactly how everything was going to play out in the end, nobody would ever apply. And that would be bad, obviously. And in fact, that brings me to the final reason why, if it's at all possible for you to get started now, you really should do it now, is because right now, the wellness revolution is happening. Because of the pandemic and the great shakeup that we have all been experiencing, so many people are really reevaluating their priorities and the way that they have been living and how things need to change going forward. There really has never been a better time to capitalize on the rapid growth of the coaching industry and on the fact that there are a lot of highly motivated people out there who are very keen to improve their health and their lives. And you are in a position to help them. At least you will be if you choose yourself, if you get started now. And that's whether it's inside my program or in another program. Honestly, it's all about getting started and moving in the right direction. I really want you to set your feet on the path to a meaningful, freedom-based career where you are helping make the world a healthier place. No more waiting. You are ready now. And as I said, time is your most scarce resource. The most successful people in the world know this, and now you know it too. You don't have time to squander. Get started now. Okay, that is all that I have got for you today. Again, I would love for you to check out my certification program, the Wellness Coach Academy, and decide if this is the right program for you. As I mentioned, we are enrolling right now, and the fall cohort kicks off on September the 27th, and I would love to meet you and welcome you into the class. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know your thoughts by tagging me on Instagram. I absolutely love hearing from listeners. Have an amazing day, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Now, if you enjoyed this episode and you're excited to learn even more about how to pursue a career as a health and wellness coach, I would love to invite you to attend my free online class called How to Chart a Path to Your Dream Career as a Wellness Coach: The 3 Secrets for Stepping into a Meaningful New Career Without Wasting Time or Money. This class is especially for women who are interested in becoming wellness coaches and building a freedom-based business, but aren't sure how to get there and what to do first. Inside this workshop, I'll be teaching you the 3 biggest myths about health and wellness coaching that will hold you back and what the truth is instead. And I will also teach you the most important thing that you need to do to get transformative results for your clients, which will enable you to build a profitable business as a wellness coach and step into this incredible career. So if that sounds like something that you need to attend, then I invite you to grab a spot in this class. Head over to drkimfoster.com/become a coach, and that's where you can reserve your seat. All the info is on that page, everything you need to know, and you can just go ahead and choose the time that works for you. And then I will see you there.